Hey, Michael, I'll tell you what, I am really, really excited to talk about the toxic handler with you today
Yeah,
because I think, this is just one of the least understood and most valuable roles in companies.
yeah,
And people don't even know it exists. They don't
exactly.
see it as a role. But in a world where people have to think and be cognitively engaged to be productive, this really matters. It just does.
Yeah, I agree. Not many people know about what toxic handling is. They may have heard about it, but no one really explains it. But it's like one of the most important things to be aware of, regardless of whether you're a leader or individual contributor. And when we start talking about it, I think people are going to realize that, oh my God, I see this all the time.
Yeah, no question. And there are always a couple of tip-offs. It reminds me of a time I had a town hall meeting and the CEO was giving a talk. And he started going through the financials, and I literally just cringed. I knew he had just put his foot in his mouth in the biggest way. And those cringe moments, when somebody does something, if you're sensitive to other people's feelings, you actually can almost feel the pain that's being created in the place. And he had talked about some slumping sales. It was nothing alarming, but the way he positioned it, everybody immediately was thinking there was going to be a layoff. So after the meeting, I dealt with this thing immediately. I knew it was going to have people disengaged. They were going to be focused on, oh my God, is our sales really bad? Are people going to be laid off? What's going on? I was running this whole division, and I took care of it, and
You
made
were the
sure
toxic
people.
handler.
Yeah, I was a toxic handler. I was always a toxic handler at work, from the very beginning. And if you care about other humans, I think naturally you are a toxic handler.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And we run into similar things. And toxic handling situations come in all shapes and sizes and forms, right? So, used to have a colleague, who was a type A personality, and
Uh-huh.
he used to go ballistic on any sort of email that would come from leadership or management, asking for some information or requesting a certain thing be done, and immediately his mind would go to like, why are they asking me this, and what is it that I'm doing wrong, or for example, and he
Huh.
would just go completely off track, and it would also affect the people around him because he would be talking about this email and he would be getting people involved in it, and you can imagine. I was thinking about this today. If people can get so off track, with these kinds of communications or something that's happened, in an organization, people just can't work. Their focus will be completely off of their task, right? And they're derailed by something that shouldn't even be an issue. So when you have someone who can temper that communication or step in, be the toxic handler, then you have something valuable to have people like that in your organization, right?
Yeah, no question. And look, we're living in a world where people are creating value by interacting with one another, by sitting down, hopefully getting in a state of flow, problem solving, making decisions. People are creating things collaboratively. And in order for people to work in the most productive way possible, they've got to be focused on the work. And if they're diverted, their attention is diverted or they're preoccupied by other things that are going on, it could be in their life, it could be a coworker, it could be something the leaders in the company said, so many things, the person to disengage. And toxic handlers are great at really just soothing those moments out for people. And there's so many different causes of this at work. I always call them these cringe moments where you go like, oh my God, I can't believe that individual did that. Or you're in a meeting and somebody says something. Or you even see an individual who arrives at the office, normally kind of an upbeat person, but on that particular day they come in and you could see they're down. And I would always go out of my way when I saw that happening and say, hey, you look a little down today. Um, is there anything I could do to help you? And they would perk up because I cared about them. And that was huge because they've done studies where people who've arrived at work in a call center, for instance, they arrive in a bad mood. And call centers are interesting places because every single thing is tracked. And you would find the correlation that their productivity would be off 10% that day. But if the manager or coworkers went over to that individual and said, "Hey, you look a little down, can I help you?" Their productivity would be normal all day because they would have been soothed and that issue was dealt with. So this is vitally important. It's a real role.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to recognize toxic handling when you see it. So I think for people who might be listening to this, we really need to make a point on it because it will really help a lot of work environments. If you see someone who's doing toxic handling or handling a situation, tempering a message, attempting to get people back, focused on what they should be doing, by tending to and helping people understand something very quickly and soothing those feathers, right?
Yep.
Then we should recognize it. Hey, nice job. I saw what you did there. That's very helpful. Please continue to do what you're doing because that's such an important thing that you've just done. Very
I think
important.
everybody is a toxic handler personally, and whether they realize it or not, that's one of their roles. Everybody has the ability to care about others. Certainly, we know that sociopaths and psychopaths have absolutely zero ability to be compassionate with
Yeah,
other people. They don't care about other people. But unless you're talking about that extreme, everybody can be compassionate and care about other people. So be sensitive to others.
yeah,
Do go reach out of your way. Try to help them if they're struggling with something, no matter what it is. And that will actually make the team more effective. And when you want to build an unbeatable workplace, then everybody's really got to be in peak performing mood and mode.
that's right.
And that means everybody has a role to play, no question about it.
Yeah. I think this is something that's difficult for us, as individuals, because when we wake up in the morning, we go to work, the thing that's mostly on our mind is, what do I have to get done today? Right? So we're not really thinking about other people necessarily. We're just thinking about, what's required of us individually. So I think if we step into work, with, a feeling of I need to be understanding and aware of my surroundings and how people are and how we work together, that's an important mind shift. Getting into work and just taking notice of, are people in an upbeat mood? Are they not? What's going on? If you meet someone in the hallway, even a smile or a very simple question of, are you all right? Are you doing good today? That may make an entire difference in that person's workday. And
Yeah,
so,
and
such
be
an important.
sincere about it. So if you ask them how they're doing today, and it turns out they really do want to chat with you, you better have been sincere, and you
Yes.
better make time, and you better talk to them, chat with them, listen. People want to be needed, and they're oftentimes they want people, you know, to be there for them when they're down. And if they know you're that type of person that will make time for them when they need it, yeah, they'll start to share things with you, and that will make the situation just that much more effective for everybody. I think this is a real role. It's unrecognized. It's a role that needs to be recognized. People need to be thankful when they do this because they're aiding the productivity of the organization. They're vitally important. Be on the lookout for those cringe moments. If you're sensitive to things going on around you and you get that cringe because somebody did something that's going to cause a bit of a sensitive situation with somebody else, intervene. Talk to the person if you're a leader. Maybe that was a teachable moment. You can help prevent that in the future because avoiding these toxic situations is just as important as dealing with them to begin with. So I think there's just so much that can be done, so much. And people should realize they have a role to play here.
So I think the things to kind of keep in mind is, be aware of your surroundings, and the pain and suffering of others, that may be happening that today you may be completely unaware of. Recognize the people, who are actually doing this and acknowledge them publicly so you can encourage others, other individual contributors to also, play this role. It will really help your organization, right?
Yeah, no question. And actually, if you see somebody who needs to understand this, share this link with them. Have them let them understand that this is a real role. And you don't have to tell them. You could share this link and they can listen in on this conversation, and hopefully they'll understand. You could send them to the website where they could get an ebook, and there's a good article on that in that ebook on this topic.
Yeah,
So there are many things people can do. I think this has been a great conversation, Michael. I love it. These are good chats, and I'll talk to you next time about the corporate sociopath. I think that's going to be fun too.
Topic.
Have a good
Absolutely.
one.
You too.
Okay, buddy.